Welcome in, Aggie fans. Our position coaches interview series continues here today. Adam Young with defensive line coach Siddiq Haynes, who is in his first year with Tony Sanchez's program. Coach, appreciate the time.
Thank you.
How have you enjoyed your time here so far?
It's been amazing. So obviously my first time out here was when I came out here for the job. And not that I already had in my mind what it would be like, but you kind of think about the state, think about how it's described sometime. And I guess you just think desert, open, and nothing, right? But, as soon as you get off the flight down there in El Paso and you make your drive up here to Las Cruces, the views are amazing, right? It's something about the mountains that creates this atmosphere of peace. And then obviously once you get to the town, it is a college town, but everyone's fairly close. Everyone has been nice thus far. And just your living atmosphere and your surrounding, it brings this sense of peace, calmness, and not only myself but my family has thoroughly enjoyed that as well. So it's been a pleasant surprise, and I'm just excited to be here.
You played at Delaware.
Yes.
You coached at Sam Houston and UTSA, so ties to a couple of current Conference USA programs
Yes,
in Delaware
sir.
and Sam
Yes, sir.
Houston. We'll get to that here in a little bit. How would you describe this football journey you've been on so far?
It's been amazing, honestly. And from graduating from college, it wasn't something that I initially went into. And I've worked since the age of 16, just being able to provide for myself and not want to ask my family for anything that I needed. I was a walk-on, so that kind of helped me out early on in my career, just taking care of myself. But it's been something that I've been used to, just working. And then, I took a slight journey for about 2 years after graduating with marketing. I was even in car sales, working at Nissan.
Wow.
And I just, it was a phone call from my coach that I played for, Coach Keeler. And, we caught up one day, and I had just mentioned wanting to get into coaching because I hadn't, felt anything as exciting as being in football. So that was something that I had wanted to potentially get into. He ended up getting hired at Sam Houston State, and he gave me that phone call. I packed up, got in my car, and drove 20 hours down to Huntsville. So, man, it's been a blessing in disguise. I'm big on helping people, and I'm also a competitor. Right, so getting back into the game of football, you're able to compete, but also be a positive influence for your kids that you're coaching.
Those connections are always there, and you try to connect the dots. And I didn't think about Coach Keeler, Delaware to Sam Houston.
Yep.
So you're at Sam Houston. You get to work with Coach Morris, the
Yes.
DC here, Coach
Yes.
Hensley, the linebackers coach as well. How cool has it been to reunite with those two guys here?
Yeah, so, our last full season together, I had worked with Coach Hensley a little bit longer than Coach Morris, but the season Coach Morris came in, it was during that COVID time, right? So we had the spring season, and man, just that season in itself, we didn't have a locker room. Obviously, we couldn't be in closed spaces. Our kids brought their equipment to the stadium, got dressed pretty much outside just because of the situation. So that in itself created a strong bond between us. But then you get to the football aspect of it, whether it was 6, 7, 8 games that you had in the regular season and then moving into the playoff. Not that preparation was different. You just had to go through some hurdles. So being able to work with Coach Hensley and Coach Morris, when you win a national championship together, that means something. And, that family bond that we had, it wasn't something that we lost. And, kudos to Coach Sanchez, to Coach Morris for trusting me and how Coach Hensley and I work together, man. It's just like reuniting with your family again. And, when specifically because we're in the box, myself, Coach Morris, and Coach Hensley, it's a lot of responsibility with that front seven. And that's something that we take pride in. We work well together, game plan together. So that was something that I was looking forward to get back to work with some guys that I had a core nucleus with, and we seemed to gel pretty well. So, man, I'm fired up and excited just to be back with them, to have an opportunity to work back together again.
What excites you about this current defensive line group that you're coaching?
Yeah, I always say it's always cool to have a DC that's a D-line coach. And why I say that is because it's geared towards, as we all know, it all starts up front. And, the way that he calls his defense and it's structured, primarily it's for us up front. And why Coach Hensley works so well is because what we do up front, he makes sure his backers are prepared for and they know how to execute to play off of us. So I'm excited with the guys that we have coming back. We added a couple of pieces as well. and the depth. I'm more excited about the depth, being able to play guys, not just play them just to play them, but you have guys that can go out there to execute at a high level, and also they're able to make the play, right? Make their plays. It's not that we're so out of control that we want to make every play. I just tell them when the ball comes your way and it's your time to make a play, make your play. And when you have a depth, the amount of depth that you have with guys that can make the play, it makes rotation easy. You keep your guys fresher as the season goes along, and you can depend and lean on them. So I'm more excited to see those guys go out there. Obviously, when we give them the call, execute the call, but play at a high level and be able to stay fresh, not only for the whole game, but for the whole season.
Did you feel like they took big strides during spring ball?
Absolutely. So, obviously I just got here in the spring as well. The beauty of it is the defense that we're running kind of ran that at Sam, right? So we're able to bring some of those same philosophies over. I joked with the guys and I said, it's my first spring here. We're going to treat it like it's everyone's first spring here. New install, but it's not new install. We don't have to worry about losing guys at the end of spring. So the continuity to be able to, install your defense, be able to run it, figure out what works with your guys that you have, what don't. You figure out the strengths of your defense, what you can call so that those guys can execute at a high level. And they retain a lot. So they did make strides. Obviously, we're watching some cut-ups now, and we can see beginning of the spring with some of the calls and the end of the spring. And you see the jump that those guys made. And it's, I'm big on details. It's your alignment, right? This is how you were aligning at the beginning of spring. Now you understand running back position, tight end position. And it's the simple, small things. If you're aligned the right way and come off the ball the right way and you're physical within this scheme, man, you can execute at a high level. So those guys, you can see the jump from the small details from the beginning of the spring to the end of the spring, and just how quickly they could execute at a higher level.
One of your linemen, Henry Davis, will represent the defense at the upcoming media days for Conference USA, which is awesome for him, and he's done such a great job in this program. Have you seen a lot of leadership from Henry?
Yeah, and when you're around Henry initially, he's not very outspoken, right? He's not a loud guy, but he's one of the guys that I've been able to lean on, knows both positions inside and really knows the outsides as well. And when you have a guy like that, it builds trust. And what I can say, coaching the D-line, yes, you got to have athletes. Yes, you got to have great players. But you also got to have players you trust, right, to do what you're coaching them to do. And Henry has been someone that has stepped up. Although he's not outspokenly vocal, he'll pull you to the side and say, hey, this is what I saw. I think if you do this, it can help you out a little bit more. And you'll always see me do this with my guys. And that just means we play together and we stay together. Yes, competition should be raised in the room. You want to bring guys in that forces the room to compete and play at a high level. And Henry is just an all-around good player, right? And I just say he does a little bit of everything really well. And when you have a guy like that that you can trust, that also can play, man, it allows you to trust him a little bit more. But also you have a coach there when you're not there, and that's how the room continues to elevate.
Who are some newcomers Aggie fans should keep an eye on in the fall?
Yeah, Jordan, we got him in this spring. He plays nose for us. He does a great job in the middle, bigger body, but he's still able to move, strong, powerful, strong lower body, create separation. So I think he's going to be a guy that gets in, that gets some reps, that shows what he can do. Kyan Roberts-Day, you
coached him,
man, I coached him. I was able to bring him along. He needed some new scenery. But what he's able to do at his size, former running back that converted to D-line, he needed reps, right, to understand the position, just the mindset of being an offensive player transitioning to a defensive player. The more confidence he's had playing the position, the more he's been able to just go. Man, he's been a force for the defense this spring, and I'm really, really excited just to see him go out there to play in the fall. I think we can look forward to some great stuff out of him. And then the last one to touch on is Jeremiah Sandiford. Slightly undersized. He's not as big, but he's twitchy. He's explosive, and the more he gets comfortable with the defense and understands some of the small details, I think he'll be able to go out there and execute at a high level as well.
Lastly, Coach, what does your group have to do in 2026 to help this team have success?
We speak about Foxhole family, and I think the biggest thing that we need to do is be the foundation of the defense. I spoke on it earlier. everything starts up front, and we have to prepare for the highs and the lows. That's in the game. That's also in the season. So I think what we need to do, obviously, is come prepared every week. We need to be ready to weather the storm for anything bad or negative that happens. I always say during the game, I need to come over to the sideline, be able to stare you guys in the eyes, and know no matter what, we're ready to go out there and execute at a high level. Coach Sanchez talked about it today about leveling up. Right? Every day, that has to be a core focus for us to level up. And all that's doing, we say swarm and compete, right? Swarm, 4 to 6, A to B, right? Straight line speed until the whistle is blown. And being the best you can be is not being afraid to fail, right? So go out there, play free. Don't be afraid to fail. When something goes wrong, come to the sideline. Let's communicate, figure out what we need to do better, and stare down the competition and stare down any hurdles that come in our way so that we can not only get through them, but knock them down, right, in a forceful way.
You have me fired up.
Come on, let's
I'm
go.
Slightly undersized your position, Coach. Slightly, but
good hands, good base, good hips. You'll be able to go out there and execute.
I'll stick to my day job, Coach. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
Sir.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate that.
New defensive line coach Siddiq Haynes. Thanks for joining us, Aggie Nation.